Good evening, everyone. Here for another rapid game. Let's see what kind of tactical disaster I can put together this time. We've got an 1800, and so far we have an e-pawn opening. We'll probably see what kind of e-pawn opening with white's next move. Alright, it's going to be an Italian. We got d3 from white. Trying to recall what I normally play here. I get each of these openings so infrequently individually that I often can't remember. But okay, I think I remember concluding that allowing a pin with bishop to g5 wasn't the total end of the world, especially if I hadn't castled yet, because I can play h6 and g5 and knight h5 and knight takes g3. It's not that bad. Get bishop to e3, I'm just going to take it and castle, keep things simple. Maybe try to play d5 now. Okay. Alright, so white should probably castle soon, or he might end up regretting leaving his king in the center. Things sometimes open up surprisingly quickly in the center of the board. I'm threatening knight takes e3, of course, which doesn't just win a pawn, it also messes up white's pawn structure, because I'll then take on c4. So he'll play queen d2, maybe? And then perhaps I can go, well, if I play bishop to g4, he'll probably castle kingside. Maybe I can then go... okay. Wish I could attack that e4 square again, but it looks difficult to do. I don't really want my knight on b6. I mean, it goes there with tempo, but once he moves his bishop away, then I just have a knight on b6. So maybe bishop g4, pinning this knight. It's hard for that to be bad. And if he kicks me away with h3, I'll probably retreat to h5. When a later g4 from him, pushing my bishop back to g6, at least immediately can't be followed up with knight h4 because my queen guards that square. Okay, so we're coming back to this square. Okay, so now I can take on c3 and kind of mess up white's pawn structure if I want to. And at that point I can play e4, which looks kind of interesting. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, we'll go e4, and if he captures on e4 and I take back, he can't castle queenside. And if he moves his knight away, I may have queen h4 check. Alrighty, so now we've got a bishop on e4, so this is pretty nice. What should we do here? I can go bishop takes f3 followed by knight e5 with a fork. And then I'm either taking on d3 or playing queen h4 check, I think, so that should be pretty good. Okay. Yep, and there's no bishop h7 here because a follow-up of queen f5 can be met with knight g3. Alright, we're going to go queen h4 check. And if he blocks with the queen, I'll have knight f3 check, I think, which will at least displace his king. Alrighty. This is a really nice knight on e5, by the way. Okay, how should we continue to go after the white king? I think I want my a rook over here so that my e rook can go harass the white queen. And I could play c5, threatening c4. Or I could play queen e7, threatening queen takes a3, and probably force him to go back to a1 with the rook. That looks pretty good. And if I want to, after rook a1, I can just play knight c4 check, and knight takes a3, or knight takes e3. Okay, is it a good idea to go c5, threatening c4? He'll probably play king c1. And then after my c4, if he takes it, I trade and play queen takes e3 check. That's probably winning somehow, because his king is in really bad shape. If he plays c4, I just take it. If he doesn't do anything, I win his bishop. I think this is good. So I expect king c1, and I think I'll play c4 and take here, and then play queen takes e3 check. And I can even put my rook on c8. And yeah, that should be really bad for white. That's a lot of arrows, but I think it's not too difficult to follow. King to d1. Okay, this is similar. I think it's very similar. I could go queen back to h4 check now. But I'm going to try this c4 idea, kicking that bishop out of there. And if he takes, I'm going to take on e3 with check, and if he blocks on e2 with the queen, I can take on c3 with check. Very bad for white. So I think he's just going to move his bishop. But where? I guess e4? It looks like a strange square because the bishop will be undefended there. But that guards f3, so that after queen h4 check, queen f2, there's no knight f3 check. Okay, so bishop e4, and I guess bishop f5. Okay, I can play rook e8 here, just trying to cause problems, or I can throw a check in. Yeah, with the combination, alright, so I think queen h4 check is reasonable, because if he plays queen f2, knight f3 check, might cause something to land on d2 that gives him a real hard time. Let's try knight f3 check. Can't play king e2, so he has to play king f1. And maybe then I go knight d2 check. Or maybe I just have absolutely nothing here. Okay, let's try this. See how uncomfortable we can make the white king. This is not very good, I guess. Darn it. Okay, I really don't want to trade queens because his king is in bad shape. So let's put the queen on g5. But then he goes rook to d1 and my knight can't escape. So we're going to go queen f6 instead. The queen's protected, so bishop h7 check is not something to be concerned about. I guess I've screwed this up. But it should still be extremely good for black. Actually, am I now threatening g6? Kind of looks like it. If I play g6 and the bishop moves out of the way, where can it move to? Actually, it has nowhere to go. Okay, so I'd be winning a piece with g6 here. And of course, I'm threatening queen takes c3. Love to play rook fe8 and have the queen and rook then coordinating against the e3 pawn. and the other pawn's on the third rank. G5. That does not look like a good move to me. But I mean, maybe he just didn't have any good moves. So I just take that pawn. He goes to h2, and his idea is then to put a rook on g1, I guess. Okay. Maybe I take that pawn and then go g6. And then when he puts a rook on g1, I just go queen to f6. Let's try it. I mean, how can it be bad to take this g5 pawn? Actually, maybe I'll go queen f6 right away. He'll then play rook g1 to threaten... No, that doesn't even threaten bishop h7 check. Alright, I'm just going to put my queen back on f6 and say I want a pawn. White gets a little bit of activity for that, but he also gets more king exposure. And queen e5 later will be with check, in case that's of value to me. Okay, if he puts this rook on g1, then queen d5 check, I guess it's met with king h1. Perhaps. And then queen d5 check. Might have to be met with e4, because if the king comes back up to h2, knight f3 check is going to win material. And then after e4, I can play knight takes e4. And I'm threatening the queen, and I'm threatening nasty double checks, I think. So he can't play rook d1. He'll have to move his queen over. Yeah, I'm just worried because I'm not sure. I think that will at least affect the trade of queens. So let's try that. Queen d5 check. Can't go king h2. I think he has to play e4. And then after... Oh shoot, is there going to be rook g7? I don't think so, because there's always going to be like a weird knight g5 move that pins the white queen if she goes over there. No, it doesn't matter anyway. I think knight takes e4 is just winning for black. Probably didn't have to make it this tactically scary, though. Wait, queen g2 here? Oh, queen g2, I was going to go knight f2 check, king h2, queen e5 check, when I think he has to play queen g3. And if nothing else, that gives me a queen trade. Okay, so we're going to take here and see what he has planned. That doesn't work because this is a check and his queen is pinned. And the next thing I'm going to do is trade queens and take that bishop on f5. Okay, he resigned. So we're up to almost 2070, still on that quest for 2100. We'll see if I ever get there. Thank you for watching.